Anything the last couple of years has shown us is that we are obsessed with being bacteria free. We're trying to avoid things like pathogens and viruses and bad bugs, so much to the extent that we're wiping down everything and so concerned about bacteria that I think we're actually leading into this situation where we're creating more problems than we're actually helping to eliminate. And so what I'm going to be talking about today in this video is talking about probiotics, because so many people, I had clients just recently that are taking probiotics that are actually making their symptoms worse and disrupting their gut and causing more pain and causing more gas and bloating. And so today I want to talk about things like what probiotic to take if you're having constipation, or what probiotic to take if you're having those stools, and which ones to avoid and which to be looking for, because this information is so important. So let's get into that and let's have some fun. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, our body is actually like a big ecosystem that exists of two different species really existing within the same body. One is us, and then the other one is our bacteria, which is actually known as commensal bacteria, meaning it's symbiotic, meaning that they work together. They are actually working in each other's favor, and that is why it's so important for our bodies to have bacteria. But the important thing is that we want to make sure that we are having a balanced approach of bacteria and not getting to where we're having an overgrowth of one particular strain of bacteria, because in reality, these bacteria are coexisting, and there are trillions and trillions and trillions of them, and they're all living harmoniously together. And so what we want to focus on is that we don't want to be eliminating all this bacteria. We don't want to be wiping everything down, and we don't want to be avoiding all this dirt and avoiding all these things that we are been told are bad for us, because we have to understand that bacteria is benefiting us. 2/3 of our immune system is made inside of our gut, and our gut is housing most of this bacteria in our digestive tracts, but it's also in things like our eyes and our organs, and it's working, again, commensally in a symbiotic relationship. So bacteria provide a whole array of benefits to our body, like protecting our gut and intestinal walls from invaders, and escorting toxins out of our body, and allowing absorption of vitamins and minerals, and improving digestive regularity, and eliminating harmful bacteria. Because again, there are several conditions, and one of them which is known as SIBO, where it's small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and basically bacteria from the large intestine moves up into the small intestine, and it's not supposed to be there. So our body has to keep control of this bacteria and not allow for it to grow in certain places and to really maintain it. However, the typical American diet and lifestyle is actually driving down beneficial bacteria, and this is allowing for opportunistic microbes to actually be flourishing and causing overgrowths of these bacteria. Because when we're eating a daily dose of high processed sugars and high processed grains, this is actually leading to further breakdown of good bacteria and promotion of bad bacteria. And when we overcook food and we're eating things that are highly pasteurized, or eating things that are not really designed to be in our body and not promoting good bacterial growth, we are leading to more of this dynamic of a worsening and specifically an overgrowth of the bad bacteria. As a result, Americans are dealing with a compromised immune system where we are allowing and inviting these bad bacteria and these overgrowths of other bacteria to be promoted, while the good bacteria is being stuffed down. And again, when we're eating things like toxins and highly processed foods, the oils we're using, and this processed sugars that we're consuming, we're not benefiting these commensal good bacteria. We're actually promoting the bad bacteria that we don't want to be in our system. So instead of being so focused on having promotion of wiping and killing all bacteria and wiping our hands down and products down and not playing in the dirt, we really need to be promoting, eating clean food and not overcooking it, and eating foods that are not full of toxic materials like high in omega-6 fats and things of that nature. So historically, people have eaten a lot of fermented foods and raw foods that are actually promoting commensal bacteria. And some European cultures will eat things like sauerkraut with sausages, and people in South Asia will eat a lot of fermented yogurts and milks, and Koreans will eat a lot of kimchi, which is basically fermented vegetables. And the Japanese I think they like things like pickled ginger and soy with their sushi. And a lot of Mediterranean cultures will eat fermented meats like salami and cheeses, and fermented beverages like beer and wine, and unpasteurized cider. And these are protecting people despite the lack of modern sanitization technology. And so fermentation actually kept food usable for longer whiles and also nourishing our guts. And most of us are not able to get a ample supply of beneficial bacteria in our modern Western diet. But we can supplement easily with things like probiotics and get dormant beneficial bacteria and yeast. There are many different strands and options when it comes to taking probiotics, and Lactobacillus acidophilus is actually the most popular and widely available. However, there's some brands out there and some strains that are actually more beneficial depending on what you're going through. But typically, people are looking to get a count of about 8 billion in a dosage per day. But there are people that have significant GI disorders that may require even higher doses. Some Some may require as much as even 50 to 400 billion CFUs per day. And so it's really important to identify exactly what your particular problem is and work with somebody that can get you a product that is actually going to be beneficial to you. Okay, so what kind of probiotics should you be looking at taking if you have issues with loose stools? Typically what I tell my clients is if you're having loose stools, Saccharomyces boulardii and Lactobacillus plantarum are great options for people. But if you're having issues with a yeast overgrowth, I would strongly recommend you not consume this kind of probiotic because it can actually promote more yeast. If you're having things like constipation, look for a brand with at least 50% of Bifidobacterium species. And be sure to start low and slow and consume probably about a 10 billion CFU daily dose and allow your body at least 2 weeks to start to get used to this before you increase your dose. And you may see things like short-term bloating or increased gas or all these different things that you're like, what the heck's going on? But this is sometimes normal if it's only been for a short period of time. So what I'm going to be providing at the end of this in this link is a link for Probiotic Protocols that I like to give my clients depending on what kind of condition they're having. And you can take a look at these and just see what you think. But really the point of this video is to encourage joining up with these commensal symbiotic probiotic species that are actually going to be serving your body really well if you get on the right kind and you're working with somebody that can kind of guide the direction of what you should be doing, and you can start to see improvements with your health greatly, and it'll be really, really awesome for you. So have fun.